Yo, what's happening guys? Welcome back to Tokimotive. Alright, so I have filmed a lot in the last couple of days, last 2-3 days, because I'm really cracking in trying to get this rebuild done so I can have it back on the road as soon as possible. But there's also no way I can fit all that content into one video. No way in hell. So I'm splitting this up. This video, what we're going to get is I'm going to acid dip the block, get that all finished, prepped, ready to go, ready to receive all the good bits. Sort out the heads, get them all ready and sorted. I'm cleaning up the pistons, just bring them back to near new, clean out all the ring lands, get them all ready to go so they can just, we re-ring them, get it all back in and can put the rotating assembly all together. Which that will be next video after this one, assembling all the rotating assembly, doing the bearings, pistons, cranking, all that sort of good stuff. But there's no way I could put in the stuff I need to include in this video and that all into one. It's just going to blow out to be a massive long video and I have nowhere near the time to edit that right now. I've actually just gone back onto day shift, which is making life a little bit easier for actually doing stuff, so that's very handy, but I'm still kind of adjusting. So all this is getting put together on the Tuesday night so I can have it out for you on the Wednesday morning. So enough out of that. So enough of that. I'm gonna let you get into the video and I'll see you at the end. Continue. Alright, so I got an unclean piston right here, and the finishing result is that. And from appearances, the L67 pistons, see in that line there. Not sure what they're exactly coated with, but they're coated. So for removing your old rings, it's just a simple matter of finding the opening and just prying it off, just like that. Nice and simple. Do the same for all the other rings. Your thicker rings feel fairly heavy, obviously. For your oil ring, there are actually 3 separate rings. We've got 2 thin ones, 2 thin flat metal ones. There. So, and you got a weird little corrugated fucker. Just kind of rotate it against itself, and eventually you'll find the end of it. It'll open up and come off. But once you got it off, you'll be right to actually take tilt on the wire wheel. The big thing is to let the wire wheel do the work, especially with these being that they're a coated piston. I'll clean this up and then I'll show you a trick for cleaning out the ring lands. I just messed up a little. I held it in one place a little bit too long while trying to get this center clean, and I've worn through the coating in a couple of places. This isn't a high strung race engine or anything, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. A little tip for cleaning out your ring lands. Get an old ring and either snap it or bend it so you can actually use it and get it into your ring lands. And you just give them a scrape around. It actually cleans out all the hard-on grit.
99% of the old coking and build up that's in those ringlands gone. So no need to buy anything, just bend or snap an old ring and you can just scrape out the ringlands that way. But I'm going to go through and clean up the other 4. I've already done 1, so I might chuck his on a time lapse for that. Alright, so you might have noticed I ended up changing my way I was doing it and using the little wire wheel on the drill to do the dome part of the piston, but it ended up being a lot easier than trying to get it to work on this, and you can get in there a lot better because you're not putting uneven pressure like you are with the wheel so big. And when you're cleaning them out, give them a good spray down with brake cleaner, and I'm squirting. You can see there's little holes. That's for oil to return, and they feed down into little holes in the underside of the piston. That's where your oil drains away from on your oil rings. So yeah, just try to get a good clean down in them. And yeah, that's pretty well it for cleaning pistons, I think. I think it turned out pretty well. I'm actually quite happy with myself over that one. Alright guys, I actually found my good tripod, so no more full shaky hand cam when I'm actually walking around a bit. But with the honing of the block and cleaning off all the gasket crap and all that, ends up with a lot of swarf and different bits of shit left through the motor. And with the fact that tutor lifter and a cam lobe, it's got all that's gone through the motor. So I'm gonna acid dip the motor. I've got Kat's gonna give me a hand, so what we'll do, I'm gonna drown it with degreaser, fill the galleys with it, and just let it so it can break off some of those old deposits a bit. And then I picked up a gurney for 50 bucks, gurney and a barbecue off Facebook, which is one of the benefits of living in Brisbane. And yeah, we'll just give it a little degreaser soak and then blast the hell out of it and blow it out with my dodgy old compressor. We'll just keep blowing it out until it clears all the water out of the galleys and dry it off that way. But we should have a nice squeaky clean motor then.
didn't pause midway through because I had to get it done really quick. But once you gurney it all out and gurney all the crap out of it, get straight onto it, blow dry it as quick as you can with a compressor. Make sure to thoroughly dry it, don't leave any water in it. I gave mine a run over with brake cleaner afterwards to help dissipate any of the water sitting in it, and then blow dried that as well. And then, because surface rust will settle in very quickly, particularly on the balls, I coated a nice clean, I used a white rag, but any clean rag will do, with ATF, auto transmission fluid, and just rub the hell out of the inside of the balls, because a little bit of surface rust settled in pretty much instantly as soon as you started drying it up. So the ATF pulled off all the surface rust that was settling in and got rid of it, because it's a penetrant. It works better than WD-40 in that sense. And that also left a protective coating on the balls. And down my oil galleries, I gave them all the places that I can't actually wipe with ATF. I gave it a squirt with WD-40 to push that through. Just kind of coat the oil galleries because they're not used to being dry, just so no surface rust or anything settles in it. And WD-40 dissipates water as well, so if there is anything left in there, it'll help get rid of it. But all that's going to come out when we put the run-in oil through it anyway. It's just to stop it going bad while we're still rebuilding it. Don't do that. Do not do that. So what I'm doing right here, basically, is I'm just giving the crank a good clean up. Just gonna spray out all the little journals and everything in it with some brake cleaner. Just tidy up the surfaces, all that sort of stuff. There's no real scratching on this crank, so I'm not going to worry about sending it off to get linished or anything like that. All looks pretty healthy, really. So I'm just going to give it a clean up, and then we'll start looking to actually put everything back together. Now you could sit there and clean up every little part of it and make it all shiny and pretty, but this is just a basic rebuild, so I'm not going to worry about doing all that. We're just going to give it a clean up. We'll make sure all these surfaces are nice and squeaky clean anywhere that we're going to put a bearing. Alright, now for cleaning up the cylinder heads, I've already had Kat go through and clean up all the gasket surfaces. She just ran over them all with a razor blade, and any bits like the exhaust gaskets that had RTV on them, she just gave them a light wire wheel to get the RTV out of the low points. But because I have valve stem seals there, but because these didn't blow smoke, they didn't leak, they're all good, I'm not gonna disturb them. I'm just gonna leave them in, because you can change valve stem seals in the car while the motor's together if you have to, but they weren't leaking, so I'm not going to disturb them, because if I disturb them and I remove the valves, then I've got to lap the valves to make sure the valves all seat, and I could just be opening up a can of worms, which I don't really need to do. From everything that I'm hearing, if they're fine, don't disturb them. Make sure you give your head a good clean up, and as you can see, fairly high K motor, so we got there's a fair bit of build up actually on the hat of the cylinder. What I'm going to do is just get a fine bristle wire wheel, just a little one that you can get into tight spots. Don't gouge it into it, but just lightly run over it, let this do the work, and just let it slowly clean up the inside of bottom of the cylinder head there. And you'll see I did it on the other head and it came up pretty good. So I'll just go through and I'll do this one and you can watch. One more to do on there by the looks of it. That's the bottom of both cylinder heads cleaned up. At the end of the day, it doesn't have to be perfect. I've got rid of 99% of the carbon buildup and shit. The valves are all clean. That'll be fine. Alright guys, well I'm going to call it here. The gurneying everything off, like the heads and the block and all that sort of stuff, actually turned out really well. It was making me really paranoid on the idea of doing it, but I eventually caved at the idea and had a go at it, and it turned out really well. Everything's all nice and clean, there's no shit through anything, and it really wasn't too bad, just blowing everything out with the compressor, and I'm not worried about it at all anymore. So that's a positive, but I've messed up this outro probably 30 times. I'm so tired trying to edit this the night before it goes up, because I'm back on day shift now and I want to be able to still get everything up at the normal time, and I've been flat out trying to get this motor rebuilt. So calling it here. If you've made it through the end, thank you very much. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I really hope you enjoyed. It goes a long way towards supporting the channel and helping me out, and I'm really enjoying doing this, and I love seeing the channel grow and seeing you guys enjoy the content. So comment below, have a chat. You can check out my other socials. Check me out on Instagram, and I've got TikTok now, which I've actually been uploading and having a decent little bit of success with. So there's a lot of short videos on there. So I'll link all that down in the description below anyway, and you can go check it out. But I'm gonna sign off here, and I'll see you on the next one.